Yeah, everyone. I just wanted to talk briefly about this recent Civil Beat article that sort of talks about, Aria Lane and I guess indirectly some regulations, fire protection, and there's also a few other tidbits in here that's kind of wanted to go over. Yeah, I really don't like drawing these types of potential parallels, between the Maui tragedy and housing developments, right? So, um, just to kind of speak to maybe the elephant in the room or something, but that that report speaks a lot to this wildland urban interface. It's this idea that um, you know residential areas or urban areas that are near more wild areas create more unique um, risks, let's say, for the fire. And that I think that point, if you just think about that, that our regulations are designed for a certain type of environment. So if we have our urban um, fire protection guidelines, that it kind of assumes that it's a pretty homogeneous urban environment, right? Like you're in this city area, and that assumption potentially breaks down when the urban area is abutting a more wild, area that could be in, various conditions, right? Whether it has a lot of, you know, grass, dry grass or whatever, right? So it's a more dynamic, it's not a homogeneous urban area, and that kind of calls into question, how even if you're up to par or something as far as the regulations, is that sufficient? And um, yeah, I'm just jumping into the PDH, Aria Lane. So the current infrastructure near the site, Board of Water Supply is saying that the hydrants are not up to even the Board of Water Supply standards for multifamily dwellings, in this area. And um, kind of to get around that maybe requirement, you could follow this other guideline, from the Fire Protection um, Association, that allows you to put a automatic sprinkler system, and then that reduces the hydrant required capacity in the area. And that's, okay, again, that's a regulation, it's fine. But to the point earlier, I mean, these regulations assume a fairly homogeneous, like you're in an urban area with a bunch of multifamily units. Well, the assumption here is that they're all going to be up to this fire code, so they're all going to have the fire sprinkler system. So it potentially reduces, right, the as a fire starts up in the air in that homogeneous urban area. If a fire starts up, then these all these units have this system, and it helps suppress the fire. uh, okay, so that's a little bit different than some, you know it could be a more natural, right, fire in a wildland situation, a wildfire that's, we don't know how big how big it can get. I don't mean, sky's the limit, right? But it's very different, right? And maybe um, it's not the same type of. Like I said, the regulation is not really built to handle a case where there's a wildlands fire that's kind of encroaching on this urban area. Okay, I'm jumping down a little bit now in the article. This quote here. So it's zoned for residential. So the claim is they're using it for exactly what it's supposed to be used for, and okay. It's zoned R75 residential, so it's low density, relatively low single family residential. Um, so what they're proposing, uh, not exactly, right? It's not a conforming R75 subdivision. Um, they are proposing this PDH process that allows for a higher density. Yes, residential, but not not exactly, right? So, um, this really rang out to me here. There wasn't too much discussion previously about price. Uh, this is really one of the first times I've seen on record Avalon speaking to the potential price point for the single family units. And here we see um, 1.5 to 1.8 million. Um, and that, I mean, it's at that price point, it's pretty close to market Manoa's current market. So, um, in the town hall, this the line was that, oh, well, land, is so expensive, and that's the reason, why housing is unaffordable, especially in Manoa. So, um, the proposal PDH would allow a smaller footprint, right? We're talking about maybe 3,500, maybe 3,000, 3,500 square foot lots versus the 7,500, which is the R75. So this idea was that if they were able to build this PDH, higher density, so still single family, but closer together, more units in a smaller area. But because it uses less land, this idea was that maybe the maybe the price would be lower, right? And that would, you know, um, but what we'll see, right here, you're saying if they're gonna price the single family at 1.5 to 1.8 million, which, I mean, okay, so what I did was just, I went on Zillow and I called up Manoa, and just to kind of show that that range is market for lots that are, larger than 3,500 square feet, homes around slightly bigger than the proposed, and a lot of them are on just their own lots. So there wouldn't be part of, like, an HOA. There would be no fees for maintaining the private road, fees for the private trash pickup, stuff like that. So a potential buyer that has that budget, um, 1.5 to 1.8 million, um, you know, currently can buy, can afford something, even in the area of interest. Um, kind of just to talk about. Okay, so if you go here, um, let's just say that's current mortgage rate 5.5% FHB. If you kind of use those numbers, plug that in. If you want to buy a place that's 1.6, let's say a single family home in this development, and you have a generous down payment, 20% or whatever, nearly, then uh, to afford this mortgage, um, your household income would need to be in this range, around 300,000 ish. So, yeah, I guess there probably are, I don't know, some local families, young local families that can afford this, but again, it's like it's market, like exist. It would be very close to existing market conditions, um, in Manoa right now. Okay, so I'm back in their PDH application, and um, this I'm on the last sentence in this first paragraph. This was actually a very, very compelling argument for the development. So it says here, it will also provide young families and individuals with this rare opportunity to own in Manoa. Um, and historically, they're saying that it's difficult for young families to afford because the prices. It's Well, I don't know if this is maybe a mistype. They say 1.5 to 1.1. Strange way to state a range. Maybe this is supposed to be 1.9 or 2.1. So let's just for argument assume that that's what they meant to say. It's weird to say go backwards, but anyway, um, so let's okay. So this statement is saying, well, young families, can't get in to Manoa at 1.5 to 1 point whatever. Let's say 1.5 to 1.9. Um, but I mean, this proposal is actually going to be like the same range. So, uh, and and it talks about the sentence above. It's, oh, okay, this infill residential is going to have um, for residents of varying income levels. Well, I mean, not that varied. The lion's share of the units are the single family market units, and they're saying it's going to be 1.5 to 1.8 or 1.4 to 1.8. So, I mean, it's pretty much the same as the current affordability in Manoa. There's a few multi-family units, that would be slightly less. There are 8 affordable units in this whatever 93 unit development. So it's yeah, okay. I guess it provides some diverse option, but uh, a majority of these units are just market units at very similar market prices. So um, allowing this PDH, allowing them to have smaller footprints for the lots, it really isn't making the price significantly less for the potential buyers. Oh, and the last point, in this article was about the traffic and this idea that um, existing use is high enough currently that when they develop this residential development, it'll actually mean less traffic. And that's I guess there's a quote saying that it's gonna be less. We're gonna reduce the congestion um, because it's gonna be less use than current. Um, yeah, it's actually pretty. That was, I don't want to say laughable, but yeah. Well, anyway, okay. So I'm jump back into this is their PDH application, their TIR, their traffic study. It was conducted relatively recently, right? January, and we can see existing conditions. Oh, sorry. Let me get the counts. Yeah. Okay. So existing conditions. Morning traffic. These are people coming out of Pomo Road, right? The only way in and out of this development. And currently in the morning, which is the non-bracketed, you see there's about 18 plus 8 people. So maybe 30 trips coming out of this road. Okay, 30 about, yeah. Okay, so let's just jump down and we'll see that they'll talk about here site generated. So this now is just from the development, right? So okay, so existing conditions we saw is like existing, and this is site generated. So with just the proposal site according to their assumptions in the traffic study. But even if we accept all their assumptions, the the site generated vehicles is going to be here morning leaving the road, right? It's going to be from this development 45 plus 20, so it's like 60 car 60. So current 30, and this proposal is going to generate 60. So it's generating double what's currently there. um, And I mean, yeah, you could say maybe, well, currently it's not peak traffic and blah blah. But again, I mean, this traffic study is solely focused on. I mean, they didn't do a whole day study, which I think they should do, but they don't. But this is just the peak. They're only doing peak studies, and in that lens, even in their lens for the traffic study, we're talking about a 200% increase. So, they're going to generate 2 times probably more trips than currently is moving through during peak time.